Hi everybody. We'd like to welcome you to another USO of North Carolina Reset at Home story time. My name is Miss Susan Gunny Bunny. See my insignia? I'm going to look into my magic mirror. Oh look! I can see all my old friends from the Jacksonville USO. And look! I can see a whole other set of friends from all across the state of North Carolina. Hi everybody and welcome back. Now, Miss Gunny Bunny has a favorite time of the year and it's coming up this Sunday. Do you know what it is? It's Easter! And so in honor of Easter, I'm going to read you my favorite story. And of course, it's about another bunny. This one is about Peter Rabbit by Beatrix Potter. Now, while we get our camera reset, I'm going to give you a chance to settle in and get nice and comfortable for our story. See you in a second. The name of our story is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits. Can you count to 4? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. And their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, see the little Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a big old fir tree. Now, my dears, said old Mrs. Rabbit one morning, you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had a bad accident there, and he was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. Oh, no! Now, be good little bunnies and run along and don't get into any mischief because I am going out to do chores. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket. Can you find her basket? There it is. And she took her umbrella. Oh, there it is. And she went through the woods to the baker's. And she bought a loaf of brown bread and 5 currant buns. Can you count to 5? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, see the little Cottontail? They were good little bunnies, and they listened to their mom, and they went down the lane to gather some blackberries. I bet those taste good. But Peter, who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden, and he squeezed under the gate. Well, first, he ate some lettuces and some French beans, and then he ate some radishes. And look what he's eating now. Can you tell me what those orange things are? You're right, they're carrots. And then, feeling rather sick, I think because he ate too much, he went to look for some parsley so he could eat some more. But around the end of the cucumber frame, whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor? Uh-oh. Well, Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages, but he jumped up and he ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief! Stop, thief!" And little Peter, he ran as fast as his little hippity-hoppity feet would carry him. Well, Peter was most dreadfully frightened, and he rushed all over the garden. He rushed here, and he rushed there, and he rushed all around, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. Oh, no! And he lost one of his shoes among the cabbages, and the other shoe among the potatoes. If you look carefully, can you find Peter's little shoe? Look, the little bird found his shoe. There it is. After losing them, he ran on 4 legs, and he went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not, unfortunately, run into a gooseberry net. And he got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. What color is Peter's jacket? Do you know? You're right. It's blue. And his big brass buttons were nice and big and shiny and very new. Well, Peter gave himself up for lost, and he shed big tears. But his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. How many friendly sparrows can you see? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. And they said, "Try, Peter, try and get loose." Well, Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve, and that was like a trap, which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter. But Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his pretty blue jacket behind. And he rushed into the tool shed, and he jumped into a can. What kind of a special can is this? That's right, it's a sprinkling can. Well, it would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Splish, splash! Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. And so he began to turn them over carefully, one by one, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Ka-choo! And Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. And he tried to put his foot upon Peter and step on him, but Peter was quick, and he jumped out of the window, upsetting 3 plants. Can you count to 3? 1, 2, 3. Good job. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he couldn't squeeze out. Besides, he was tired of running after Peter, so he went back to his work. Well, Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath, and he was trembling with fright, and he had not the least idea which way to go. And also, he was very damp from sitting in that can of water. After a time, he began to wander about, going lippity, lippity, not very fast, and looking sadly around. He found a door in a wall. Uh-oh, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit who had eaten too much to squeeze underneath. Well, an old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep. carrying peas and beans to her little family in the wood. Can you find the mouse? She's awfully tiny, but there she is down there. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she couldn't answer. All she could say was, and so she finally shook her head at him, and Peter began to cry. Well, then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Well, presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. And a cat. What color is this pretty cat? You're right, it's white. And the white cat was staring at some goldfish. She was very still, but now and then the tip of her tail swished as if it were alive. And Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her, because he had heard all about cats when they were hunting, how dangerous they could be to a little bunny. And he had heard this from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. Can we say hi to little Benjamin? Hi, Benjamin. Hi, everybody. Well, Peter went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch. And Peter scuttered underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and he climbed upon a wheelbarrow and he peeped over. And the first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. Mr. McGregor's back was turned towards Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Oh, for joy! Peter got down very quickly, and he got off the wheelbarrow, and he started running as fast as he could go along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the hole under the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket of Peter's, the blue jacket with the brass buttons, and he hung up his little shoes and made a scarecrow to frighten all of the birds. Peter never stopped running or looking behind him until he got home to the big fir tree. Well, he was so tired that he flopped down on the nice soft sand and on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes and fell fast asleep. His mother was busy cooking and wondered, what has Peter done with his clothes? This is the second little blue jacket and the second pair of shoes that Peter has lost in a fortnight. That's 2 weeks. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening, and I have a suspicion that it's because he ate so much vegetables in Mr. McGregor's garden. Well, his mother put him to bed, and she made some chamomile tea, and she gave him a dose of that and some cod liver oil. 1 tablespoon of each to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, see the Cottontail? They had a good supper. They had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. And that is the end of our story. Now, I'm going to just tell you something. You know what I think the moral of this story is? I think because Peter didn't listen to his mom, he got into all kinds of trouble. But you know what? I know all of you are good little boys and girls, and I know that all of you listen to your mommies and daddies. Now, I am going to teach you my favorite Gunny Bunny dance. So I'm going to give you a chance to all stand up and stretch while we get the camera set up for the Gunny Bunny dance. Okay, see you in a second. Now you might know this song. If you do, you can sing it. And if you don't, do the motions with me anyway, okay? First thing we're going to do is wiggle our ears. If you're happy and you know it, wiggle your ears. If you're happy and you know it, wiggle your ears. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, wiggle your ears. The next thing we're going to do is hop up and down. If you're happy and you know it, hop up and down. If you're happy and you know it, hop up and down. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. If you're happy and you know it, hop up and down. Well, Gunny Bunny wishes you all a happy Easter, and I hope my buddy, the Easter Bunny, brings you lots of candy. Bye-bye, everybody. Tune in again next week.